It takes two to tango. Relationships are a two-way street. Two of the biggest myths about relationships that will absolutely have you suffering long-term in a relationship. Why? Because we're always waiting for the other person to do the right thing. Guess what? There is no cavalry coming, my friend. It's you. Right? And that's one of the biggest things that I find in relationships is they're like, well, what about them? What are they gonna do? And then we end up waiting for the relationship to somehow miraculously repair itself, and it will never happen. Relationships are a two-way street. It takes two to tango. Drop it, get rid of it. It is the absolute worst thing that you could do in a relationship, because it's very rare that you find two people actually engaged in a relationship at the same time, especially when things are tough. When things get tough, we're so used to having them, both parties engaged on the same level inside the relationship. The moment that one person pulls back, guess what we do? We pull back. The relationship's a 50-50 proposition. Well, think about it. I put my 50 in and you put your 50 in, and guess what happens? If someone pulls back even 1%, guess what? We're no longer meeting, right? That's the same thing here. So by taking that out of the equation, you literally transform the dynamic of your relationship and the probability of the success of that relationship. When you get that it is you and I, just really understanding that our relationship is going to be determined by you and I, that without the expectation that our partner is going to meet us every single time in the relationship, guess what happens? Now we stand in gratitude when they do show up. We actually have a consistency and a stability in our relationship that didn't exist before. Why? Because we were waiting for them to do something. If they didn't do it, then guess what? Things start to decline, right? Immediately. If they don't do their part, then guess what? I'm not doing my part, right? And so it creates an emotional destabilization in the relationship, which is even 10 times worse, because now you got to deal with the trust of, can I count on this relationship? Can I count on this person? Is this floor strong enough to hold me up? Is my relationship strong enough? These are things that happen in relationships, because when one person pulls back, then the other person now pulls back or doesn't do their part to compensate, then naturally the relationship now is at a deficit. The relationship now in some way is, it's struggling, it's broken, if you will. And so then now we start to question the relationship as a whole. We don't want that to happen. So what do? The only thing to do is to realize that you are the cavalry. It's got to be you. In my relationship, I'm the marriage master. My wife, she knows this stuff. She hears me talk about it all the time. However, I'm the marriage master. I'm the one, and I like it that way. You know why I like it that way? Because I am not waiting for her to do anything. I'm not waiting for her to show up. I'm not waiting for her to apologize. I'm not waiting for her to come and make me feel better. By the way, I just want to let you know, by taking it on this way, my wife does come and apologize. She does lift me up and make me feel better. She does show up for me when I need her. It was because I've created this stable relationship that literally calls for, is a gravity that pulls for our relationship working, right? And so I like the fact that I'm not waiting on anyone else to have my marriage work. I can do that. I'm in control. I get to say if there's going to be love present in our relationship. When something doesn't show up well with her, I'm looking for myself as, okay, what can I be responsible for? How can I shift this thing? How can we have this relationship work well, whatever it may be? This, guys, gives me power. I don't want it to be it takes two to tango. I don't want it to be relationships are a 50-50 proposition, and they may be, by the way, but guess what? I prefer to take 100% radical ownership of my marriage, of my relationship, and I'm inviting you to do the same thing. So right now, maybe you're struggling. Maybe your partner's not showing up the way that you want them to. Maybe they're angry and they're moving away, or whatever it looks like. Fight. I'm going to tell you, fight. If you fight for it and you give everything you have, you will never have a regret. You will never have a single regret for giving it every ounce of your being, because guess what? Whatever happens, you'll know you did everything that there was to do. No regrets. And that's what I say. Like literally, my whole life inside of my marriage is hashtag no regrets. I'm giving every bit of my soul, every bit of my heart. I'm giving her everything I've got. Whether she shows up or not, I'm showing up this way because I get to be the man I've always wanted to be. And I'm inviting you as a man or a woman to take that on for yourself inside your relationship. To the tango, that's cool and everything. I like to dance. And I like it when she shows up to dance too, and it's not always like that, and that's cool with me. All right, but if you do that, guys, here's what I want to say. I don't want you to think that you now have to be a punching bag or a doormat, because that's not how it works. If you get this and you are now that stable force in your relationship, here's what happens, is you literally become a world, a gravity that pulls for them, showing up in the same exact way that you showed up. So take it on, all right? Is that you now want to be that source of love, that source of peace, that source of stability in your relationship, and watch how things begin to work in your relationship better than you even thought they ever could. I hope that you like that content. I hope that made a difference for you. Real talk. So inside of that, if you like this content, then click the subscribe button. There's a lot more where that came from. Talk to you soon.